It's just after that magical time of year. You've just walked, you've got your diploma, you've graduated from college, and now you're asking yourself, now what? Or maybe you've been fired, you've been laid off, or maybe something's happened, like Corona, and you find yourself no longer employed. Today we're going to be going over some of the things that you should do immediately thereafter, and kind of, since I'm in the middle of this process right now, what you should do to go about looking for a new job and the things that you should consider. So let's dive in. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do before you dive too deep into your job search is you're going to want to make sure that your resume is completely up to date. Some of the best things I've observed as I've looked at resumes of potential candidates are that they have 3, maybe 4 bullet points that highlight main things that they did in previous work. And also that those previous jobs that they have listed, that previous work experience, is actually relevant to the work that they're applying for. Now maybe you don't have work experience that completely relates to the job that you're applying for. In those cases, it's probably okay. Go ahead and include some of those other things that might be able to show that you have the skills or you have the abilities that they're looking for. But for all of the points that you have that do apply, definitely include those and make sure those are prominent and first. For example, going over my own resume yesterday as I was looking at it, some of the things that I'm dropping off now are possibly my time as a graphic designer, as well as my church service mission. As I now have multiple years experience programming and such, some of these things become less pertinent, and though they can show things like different leadership skills and such, most employers are going to want to see your most recent experience and what things are relevant from those that immediately apply. So pick and choose carefully, but a good solid rule is to try to make sure everything fits on one page. Now that doesn't mean you should cram the page full, but try to make sure everything doesn't overflow off of a single page. No one wants to look at a resume that's longer than a page. Now that we've got our resume updated, we have to consider some things. For example, where do we want to live? Where do we want to work? What sort of living environment do we want? Be it cultural, economical, etc. So if we think back a year or two, we've got a lot of the same decisions, a lot of the same factors to take into consideration now as we're looking around for areas that we might want to live. For example, what's the climate like? Are we close to the beach? How is the single population? In particular, the single population that belongs to my church, because that's probably where I'm going to get a lot of my friends from and such, and also my dating pool. Is there a car culture there? Is it a good car culture? What is the culture there in general and such? These are things that we kind of need to take into consideration. Also, with us looking at trying to, get our own place and have a house, how are housing prices? For example, here around American Fork area, stuff I'm looking at right now tends to be between $300,000 and $350,000, with $350,000 in American Fork really being like the median house price. Now, if I look at a place like Costa Mesa, where the weather's fantastic, you've got good car culture, you've got the beach right there, you've got decent jobs in Irvine and such, but the median house price is $790,000. Yikes. So that's part of what we're up to today. We're going to be comparing and contrasting some places some. I know I want to check out some places in Texas. We will check out some areas in Orange County again probably. And we'll look around up here and such. And maybe some other things will come in. Some things though, as I've been looking for houses that I've noticed I really kind of want, is I want something with some backyard, but not huge backyard. Kind of small backyard that I can make into a nice outdoor living space. Be able to have a nice green space, a nice outdoor space that you can go out and especially in the evenings be able to enjoy and such. Or even during the middle of the day, places like Costa Mesa, it only gets so hot and it only gets so cold. The coldest it gets in the winter, your low is like 45 and your high in the summer is like 85. So it's really nice and temperate and it's pretty much nice year round. So let's go ahead, do some searching, pull up some numbers, and see what we can find. So this is definitely where things start to get a little bit depressing. So if we take a look at this here, we've got, we're comparing Provo-Orem area, which is close enough to American Fork, to Orange County at what was our current pre-tax household income of $75,000. To maintain our same standard of living in Orange County, we would have to make $118 per year. The cost of living is 58% higher in Orange County. Your rent for a median 2-bedroom apartment, which we're currently in a 3-bedroom. So these numbers do look accurate though. This 1,096, that looks pretty accurate. You know, your median home price for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, which is more or less what I've been looking for, is $360,000. In Orange County, it is $979,000. Ooh, might start looking at 1-bedrooms, but we need a garage. Transportation costs are going to be relatively, so not entirely irrelevant, but gas is like $1 more expensive. Food costs are something that is a thing. Milk's going to be more expensive. Looks like our pizza's about the same. McDonald's is about the same, but we don't eat at McDonald's anyways. Bread more expensive, eggs are more expensive. Everything's pretty much more expensive. Entertainment costs, movie tickets are a little bit more expensive. We don't go to the movies, we don't drink, we don't do yoga. Healthcare costs, luckily most anything I can think of that might be a healthcare cost would probably maybe be covered by health insurance that I would get down there. Not certain, but hopefully. However, the dentist cost actually looks like it's the same as my current dentist, so that's a doctor visit. So my dentist visit is actually more expensive here. My dentist visit's usually closer to what they're saying Orange County doctor visit is. Optometrist, it's also more here for who I go to. So that's kind of irrelevant, I guess. I'd actually be saving money, it looks like. But housing is the big one. And that's the one that's going to get me. I'd really like to get my own place. I'd like to be able to afford my own place and pay it off in a reasonable amount of time. But when we're looking at pricing, that is, getting upwards of to $1 million, that's just not realistic right now. So if we look a little more around California, we've got San Diego. San Diego is also pretty high up there. It's 130% higher. We've got San Francisco is completely unrealistic, but just for laughs. Oh my gosh. That's not funny. If I didn't mind living in the middle of nowhere in the California desert, housing prices would be 2% lower. Gas is still more expensive because #California. Food is, relatively similar. Entertainment costs is once again going to be higher. Healthcare costs once again going to be higher. Even living in the middle of nowhere, Bakersfield, California. So, might not be the best plan unless we landed a killer job. And even landing a killer job, you still have the issue of the fact that costs are so much higher. I mean, housing costs being at $350,000, you figure you can save up 20% of $350,000 pretty quick when you don't have many other expenses. Well, when you then go to, purchase a place, you purchase it, you can still kind of pay that off, relatively quickly. You can turn a 30-year mortgage into a 15 pretty easy if you don't have a ton of other expenses. Like, it's not too hard to run the numbers and to see that you can do it. But when we start talking about $800,000, $900,000 for a place, even if you're making 120, 130, your tax rate's going up too. There's, I have to double check the numbers, but you're running out of money to go around. So looking around at Texas a little bit here, there are a few places in Texas that we might consider. Now, it would be significantly different probably than anywhere I've lived before, but let's just see how the numbers stack up. Austin, Texas. So prices are only a little bit higher, so rent is higher, but home prices are actually cheaper. Transportation's cheaper, food is cheaper, entertainment goes up some, as well as healthcare costs. But, cost of living, it says we're only 6% higher than we are here. Dallas has an uptick again, not nearly as much as California, but it is an uptick. Houston is actually, wow. Houston looks pretty good. Housing is 5% cheaper. Your median home price has gone from 360 to 295. Transportation is cheaper. Food cost is 6% cheaper. Healthcare is basically the same. And your entertainment goes up slightly. Wow, Houston. Oh my gosh. So here's the cool part. Houston's actually kind of a place I've looked at some before because it is so close to the ocean. I mean, it is a drive if you're like in inner city Houston and stuff. But I mean, the beach is still a thing. Now, it's probably not California beach, but it is beach, and beach is life because I was born and raised in California, and salt water runs through my veins. And with looking at Texas too, Houston's really probably where we would feel most at home. You know, if we look at Austin, we're inland a lot more. Dallas is quite a bit inland, Fort Worth up there too. And so none of them are really close to the shore. And for sure, I would want to be closer to water rather than farther away from it. The only thing we then really need to be aware of is if the salaries scale up or down. Oh my gosh. Guys, I'm going to be real with you right now. So I have peeked at this some already. I put in a few filters. You know, we do have something of a cap. We need at least a 2-car garage. Like, how is this real life? How is this real life? We've got 3,000 square feet, 4-bedroom, 4-bath for $315,000. We have, where to go? Look at this here. Brand new construction. Brand new construction. 2,500 square feet for under $300,000. My brother and sister are currently purchasing things here in Utah County with less square footage than that for more than this. They're both paying over $300,000. And this is larger, I believe, than both of their places. And this probably has some options added, obviously. I mean, that looks like some nice tile. Where'd the tile go? The tile, I mean, you've got like tile, it looks like probably in there. And I can't even right now. I don't even know. I'm speechless. I am straight up speechless. So that now is pretty well the process that I'm going to follow for each place that I consider moving to or consider working in. Now, Texas is looking super good. Like, housing prices are way lower. I cannot believe the housing prices that I'm finding right now. I mean, I am completely stoked about them. And they're nice places. And most of them tend to have pretty close to the aesthetic that I want. So we're seeing good things. The other thing to look out for, though, the other thing that you have to consider is, you have to actually get a job in that area then. So what I'm probably going to do, and this is something that we were looking at too, is you've got to consider, all right, how much can I make in that area? So I started looking at what is the going rate for software engineers in that area. So we pulled up like Glassdoor, we'll pull up a few others, and we'll look at them, and we'll see what it looks like the pay range is for those positions, because everything's going to kind of scale. Price of housing, like cost of living might go down, but that could also mean that, your income goes down because it's not as expensive. So we'll have to look at that. We might have to tweak numbers a little bit because what may have been affordable here might not be quite as affordable there because of that. So what we're going to do is we're probably going to try to find 3 or 4 places that I feel pretty good about, that I seem to like the pricing and everything. There's good job opportunities and such. And we're probably just going to apply for a ton of different stuff there that we like. And, see what happens. But right now, I need to run down to Spanish Fork because there are IT issues at the warehouse. So we're going to run down there, try to take care of things. That's probably it for today, guys. I hope this helps you out some. I hope it gives you something to go off of. We are going to kind of continue this series a little bit. So hang tight, and I'll see you guys in the next one. So long.